Good morning, happy weekend to you, and welcome to another exciting edition of Daybreak Extra on Trust TV. We're live in the nation's capital, and today is a beautiful day. Yes, indeed, I'm Darshan Hussaina Usman, and as usual, I'm here with my fellow anchor talking about Ibrahim.
It is a beautiful day indeed, and of course, it's Daybreak Extra on Trust TV, and we're here to bring you the very best this lovely Saturday morning.
Yes, this week has actually, would I say it has been stressful or stress-free?
Well, there's been a bit of both. Yeah.
Okay, considering the fact that a lot of people are still in the Yuletide, a euphoria,
Yes.
and most people are actually not back. They've not fully resumed, probably from next week and all that. So, everything has just been going easy, just mild, just, easy going.
But some people
not
have
really
actually
stressful.
physically resumed, but mentally they're still,
Yeah,
they're still
yeah,
on
that
break.
happens a lot,
Exactly.
by the way. So it might take a few more weeks for them to readjust.
Exactly.
Yes. All right. So today, like my co-anchor has said, we have a lot of interesting, interviews for you, talking about a young lady using humanitarian services to preach peace, using children affected by the insurgency as a reference point. And also, still the year is still fresh. We'll talk about planning finances for the new year, which is very, very important, especially while we're in the month of January, being that, December, a lot of money has actually been spent.
Yeah.
First day of the year, New Year as well, a lot of money. And for those who actually have had birthdays from the first to now, and planned something little.
Some actually say January has 45 days.
45 days.
Yes.
Yeah, some people actually say it has 6 weeks or even more. But then we will be discussing all this, and also we'll take a look at the papers, this beautiful morning. Stay tuned.
Not necessarily tribal or regional.
Welcome back to Daybreak Extra on Trust TV, and of course we're going to kick off with a review of the dailies, and the first paper we're going to be looking at is Daily Trust, of course. They say charity begins at home, don't they? Well, the banner headline on Daily Trust is 143 buried as search for more bodies continues. That is the Zamfara massacre. It says children, women among victims, and more than 2,000 cattle rustled. That is the banner headline on the front of Daily Trust newspaper. And of course, another one is how 11 discos lost 258 billion naira in 11 months. It says estimated billing, poor supply, responsible. That's the customers now. And the experts are saying provide meters to solve problems. These stories are actually found on pages 6 and 7 of Daily Trust. And the feature on Daily Trust says we can't leave auto repair for any other job. Those are some graduates actually talking about that as well. And of course, another story on page 4 of Daily Trust says nearly 2,000 journalists die of COVID-19 in 94 countries. COVID-19 pandemic still waxing strong, and of course the numbers are alarming. All these stories can be found on Daily Trust newspaper, and of course there's another one that says in the entertainment scene, I was paid 4.8 million naira to stage a fight with Jim Ike, says Uche Maduagu.
Okay, well, moving on from Daily Trust newspaper to Punch newspaper, Saturday Punch. The lead story here says how Zamfara terrorists invaded our villages, killed over 200, burned houses, says survivors. And the writers here say state government blames informants for deadly attacks. Police compiling casualty figures, burying the dead risky for now, says Commissioner of Police. If you go to the top, you'd find stories that say APC governors meet Sunday to insist on convention before presidential primary. We also have Jonathan's planned defection to APC. Presidential ambition, mayor rumors, says aide. And then if you come right to the bottom, you'd see a story with Nnamdi Kanu's face here that says Masop demands Kanu Igboho's freedom, lawyer seeks fair trial. We also have NSA office owes foreign partners 30 billion naira, Monguno alleges poor funding. No sharing formula between Abiodun Amosun's APC factions, reconciliation chair says. And then we see this by this one on page 24 that says, I won't bury my son, even if it takes 30 years to get justice. And that's coming from Sylvester Oromoni's dad, the young man from Darwin College that was killed by his peers. And we have a story here that says why we had our wedding despite death of my bride's mother, two sisters a day before the event, and that is from Nasarawa Man. Okay, these are the stories on front page of Saturday Punch today.
Well, the next paper we're going to be looking at is The Nation newspaper, and of course it kicks off with a political story. The banner headline reads, as APC crisis deepens, Buhari demands national convention timeline. And the writers here are PGF DG writes Buhari says convention must hold or caretaker committee resigns. And another one says how governors begged president to intervene and to meet on Wednesday. And the other rider says aggrieved party members ask court to halt February convention. This is the banner headline on the front of The Nation newspaper. And when you go to the top of the front page, is still politics. It says 2023, PDP has settled for Northern presidential candidate. That was said by Babangida Aliyu. And on security matters, it says security agencies probe former NIA boss over leaks and petitions. These are stories on the front page of The Nation. And of course, when you go to page 6, you'll find a story that says Bauchi government sues Dogara, 28 others over communal violence. And another story says how I celebrated Christmas in kidnapper's den. That is a story narrated by a victim. A story also on the front page of The Nation reads Cross River communities where girls are used as collateral turned into sex slaves. Well, you can find all these stories on the front page, on the pages of The Nation newspaper this Saturday.
All right, next newspaper is Blueprint Weekend. More jitters, which is the lead story. More jitters as Lassa fever returns amidst Omicron surge. And we have a few writers there. Lassa fever killed 92 Nigerians in 2021. This is according to a report. Prepare for fresh, deadlier outbreaks, NMA warns. No coordinated effort to reduce casualties, says expert. Nigeria currently experiencing fourth wave, says NCDC. These particular writers are from health experts, and you can find details of this story on page 5. We have right at the bottom, why Nigeria faces multifaceted challenges, and that's from Archbishop Irefing. Nigerians raise concerns over rising divorce cases. You can find details of that story on page 9. Scary figures, failing technology, Nigeria in doldrums over SGPV. And right at the top there, you'd find, I don't ask my female colleagues for anything apart from, you know, it lives for, it's like a suspense headline there. So if you want to find out more, and that's actually from by Noura Musa Inua. If you want to find out more, you can go to page 17 and find that out. And then we have media stakeholders raise the alarm over infiltration of Chinese ideology into Nigeria. And also 2 years after, Nigeria certified polio-free. 25 Kano local governments record 106 fresh cases. Wow. All right, these are the stories on the front page of Blueprint newspaper.
Now moving on to the Guardian newspaper, which carries the major story as worrisome changes in 2022 budget. Lawyers divided over National Assembly power to insert new projects. That is the main headline on the front page of the Guardian. And when you move down on the front page, you'll find a story that says Oromoni, truth has prevailed, says Dowen College. Well, if you want to find out what truth the Dowen College is talking about, you can go to page 3 of the Guardian. Another headline says APC's February convention shaky as aggrieved members drag Buni to court. And another one says herdsmen attack Ondo community, kill 3, burn houses. These are stories on from pages 4, 5 and 30 of the Guardian newspaper. On page 4 is a story that says Kano records 106 cases of type 2 polio virus. That's just echoing what we have just heard on the pages of the Blueprint. Well, that's another story on the polio virus as well. And on the top of the page, you'll find a story that says Cindy Zemura says, though progress is slow, gender equality is achievable. Well, that is something that you might want to look at on the pages of The Guardian. And then when private security guards dare Nigeria police in Lagos. That is also another story on The Guardian. And on page 28, there's a sports story that says eyes on Eagles, Eguavon as Africa Cup of Nations begins. Well, that's something for our very own in-house Adeni Ajishafe to mull over. It says eyes on Eagles, Eguavon as Africa Cup of Nations begins. That is on page 28 of The Guardian. So you can find all these stories on The Guardian newspaper.
All right, now moving on to the front page of Daily Trust, there was a story talking about Zamfara massacre where 143, people, children and women, included, are buried. It's really, really a sad one, and this is actually in the wake of a brutal attack on some communities, talking about Anka and Bukuyum local government areas in Zamfara State on Wednesday and Thursday. This insecurity is becoming something else.
It's really disheartening when you read the papers, you listen to the news. The first thing you actually hear is insecurity, attacks here and there, people being killed, lives being lost, and it's really, really disheartening. It makes for grim reading when you actually look at this, and the figures are really, really alarming. It's really alarming.
It's really, really, really alarming. We hope, we've been praying and we've been hoping, and we still pray and hope that, something is done, about this. Now, we've heard reports that, bandits have actually been gazetted as terrorists.
Terrorists, exactly.
And I hope something is really done.
Well, we do hope it makes a difference,
Exactly.
If we can change the designation, so to speak, from bandits to terrorists, let's hope they start being treated as terrorists, you understand, and concerted efforts are being made to actually bring this to an end. We look forward to times when you don't have to wake up to stories like this every morning, and where you can actually sleep with both eyes closed.
All right, now talking about how 11 discos lost 258 billion naira in 11 months, and the writers here saying estimated billing, poor supply responsible, says customers. Talking about poor supply, yesterday for some hours at night, there was no light at all in Abuja. Let's even just talk about Abuja. There was no light anywhere in Abuja.
No, power has always been a problem in Nigeria, and we thought that when the distribution companies came in, that maybe things might change, and well, to some extent, it's actually gotten worse.
Yes, it has gotten worse. And, you know, with the new year, a lot of people actually thought a lot of things would change, considering, you know, what has happened or everything that happened, you know, the previous year. You know, it's like a new start for, you know, some companies to redo their policies, you know, their ideology and everything, and, you know, find a way of making things
better.
And making life better for customers as well. But as you said, it's getting worse. And from the 1st of January, power has been poor in Abuja. It has been really, really poor.
Well, most likely it's not only in Abuja, you understand. And the problem is we find ourselves in a situation whereby we're paying more for less. You understand? In years gone by, we didn't used to pay this much for power.
Exactly.
And I think it was even more stable than it is right now.
Even with the meters, you know, and experts here are saying provide meters to solve problems. A lot of people I don't know the, you know, estimated number of people, but a lot have meters, you know, in their homes. But has that stopped, you know, the dwindling power supply? It hasn't.
It hasn't. And of course, these meters, the new meters that are actually brought, some actually nicknamed the antelope because of how it runs, how the power actually depletes really very quickly. Yeah. You understand? So you find yourself paying so much more for so much less. And well, is there an end in sight?
No, from what the experts are actually saying, another question is, when you say meters would actually solve problems, does that mean that anyone who has a meter gets constant power supply?
Exactly. And you see, the problem is, it makes more business sense for the discos when you give people meters, for you to give them the electricity, because if you don't give them the electricity, it will not run down, and why will I go and buy electricity if it hasn't run down? You understand? But I have a meter, I bought light, and I haven't been able to use it, so it's still there.
What's the point?
Exactly. So what's the point of it? So it's not just bringing the meters. It's not just giving everybody the meters. Provide the electricity so that they can actually use it.
Okay, now there's a feature here on the Daily Trust newspaper as well that says, you can find the feature on page 25, by the way, and it's attributed to a few graduates who are into auto repair, saying they can't leave, you know, being mechanics or engineers, you know, motor engineers for any other job.
Yes, that means they find it lucrative, they find it satisfying enough to actually stick to that. You know, it's not everybody that's cut out to have a white-collar job. You know,
and some who have actually tried to, you know, look for jobs, white-collar jobs, you know, were not so
successful.
Exactly. You know, about the whole thing. And they moved into other skills. And that's why in Nigeria today, you're advised, even with your degree, have a skill.
Exactly.
Have a skill set. Because if the degree doesn't work, you have something to fall back to.
Exactly. Or you can even use them both. Nobody says that you can't be white collar and blue collar at the same time. You understand? But at the end of the day, you'll find out you're neither white collar, you're neither blue collar, and you're no collar. So that's something. So when you find graduates actually doing things like this, because these are jobs that some of the society usually looks down on. You understand? You go down in the grease, you fix people's cars and whatnot.
It's a messy job.
Exactly, it's a messy job, and people don't aspire to things like that. But they found it lucrative and they found it satisfying enough to say that they are not going to leave it for anything, and that is fantastic.
There was a report, you know, within the week about graduates who are drivers. Do you understand? And most of these graduates have actually searched and searched. You have most of them searching for jobs for over 10 years with no success. Exactly. So they went into driving, you know, and they're making their money. They're comfortable. You know, it's more or less like not having to just doing your thing. You know, a lot of people don't like working 9 to 5. Yes, working for other people. But, you know, working for yourself, whatever comes in, you know, it belongs to you. Being your own boss. And you know that, you know how to handle your resources and everything that comes in. You get to...
you get to manage your resources effectively. You get to manage your resources,
and you know whatever comes in belongs to you.
You don't have anybody breathing down your neck that you must do this.
You have a target, you know, and everything.
Exactly.
But in as much as it's not easy on its own, you know, but you know, a lot of people still prefer it.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of people, a lot of people find comfort in having a schedule or a regiment for them to follow. You know, you come to work at 9, you close by 5, and
you don't have to report to anybody.
You understand, and so that's how it is. You know, being your own boss is there's a liberating factor to it. You know, you get to do things the way you want to do them, how you want to do them. But
you know, like I said, in most cases, these jobs, being your own boss, is actually more stressful than a 9 to 5.
Well, it all depends.
Yes, if you're getting clients, you know, every minute, every hour of the day.
Yeah, but if you find satisfaction in it,
that's the most important thing.
If you find satisfaction in it, and then that's a good thing. You know, the more clients you have, the more business you have, and that means the more lucrative the business is for you. So that's a welcome kind of stress. You know. Give me that kind of stress every day. Stress me out and give me money.
Your money. Okay. Now let's move, before we go on a break, let's move into another story on Punch newspaper. And it's about Sylvester Oromoni and the dad saying he will not bury his son, even if it takes 30 years, except these boys that actually, you know, killed him, his parents that killed him, face justice. Now, I've heard that they've been granted bail.
Yeah.
Yes, and even Darwin College came out to say that, you know, justice has been served and all that. You know, a lot of controversy surrounding it. Omaumi, who is related to, you know, one of the boys, you know, has been quiet, and she has been attacked on social media as well, the singer.
For being quiet.
Yes, for being quiet. And she came out to say that, the irony is she's actually she has a link, I wouldn't say related to, but she has a link with Sylvester himself, the victim. So, you know, she doesn't have a side. She can't choose a side, and she has nothing to say. So she doesn't have to, defend herself or say anything to social media. Let social media be social media, and what happens, you know, at home, you know.
You know, that's the thing with incidents like this. You know, you find some people caught up in the middle. You understand? They're neither here nor there because everybody has his own side to the story. You know, but the bottom line is the kid is dead, and we need to find out what happened, and we need to find out who is responsible, and that person needs to face justice. That is just the bottom line of it.
Okay. All right. So quickly, there's this story I saw on the Nation newspaper, and this is in Cross Rivers, where in some communities, girls are used as collateral and turned into, you know, sex slaves.
Well, that is something
that sad one.
that is something that you think in this day and age we shouldn't be hearing things like this, you know, but unfortunately they do happen in certain societies, and I've
actually heard stories of parents borrowing, you know, collecting a loan, and then when it comes time to pay, they don't have the money, so they give their daughters as brides or as slaves. Should I say slaves? Yes, as house
yeah,
helps.
that's the collateral that we're talking about. You understand? You collect a loan, you give them as collateral, and then whoever receives those girls as collateral, well, he has to find a way to turn a profit.
Person's property.
Exactly, and you know, he feels that he owns these people, and then he can do whatever he wants with them, which is really, really disheartening when you look at it. And I think steps need to be taken to be able to abolish these kind of things in this day and age. I don't think it's something that we should be talking about.
Most definitely. All right, with that, we'll go on a quick break and we'll be right back.
Welcome back to Daybreak Extra on Trust TV this lovely Saturday morning. When we started the show, we were actually talking about being a new year and some people still being in the holiday spirit. And of course, talking about how January drags on and on. But mostly when you talk about things like this, it's usually because of finances. And usually it's just like Darshan said earlier, a lot of people spend a lot during December, having parties, going on vacation and whatnot. And at the end of the day, you find yourself in January with a lot of bills to pay, you know, and not enough resources to do it. But some people actually argue that if you have a budget and you keep your finances in check and carefully analyze everything and you plan accordingly, that you won't find yourself in this kind of pickle. Do you believe that?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So did you have a budget for December? And did you follow that budget?
Not necessarily. For December, for December I had a budget, yes, and I followed it.
And you had a plan for January.
You know, in these, you know how Nigerian economy is.
Okay.
You know, you have plans and then you have emergencies and things come up and you need to use some money for other stuff. And then with the increase of almost everything in the markets today, you end up spending more than you are supposed to. So I had for December, even though we're yet to know what's going to happen in January. But yes, when you have savings, I think that actually helps a lot.
But what stops you from dipping into your savings after you've exhausted whatever it is you have?
I think discipline. Discipline is very, very important. Some things you don't need.
How disciplined are you, Dasha?
I can be in January. I'm usually very disciplined.
Well, there are lots of things that actually you can consider when factors that you put in mind when you're making decisions about how you spend, what you spend it on, and who you spend it with. You understand? So these are things. Yes, yeah. On.
All right, so
let's not get into that discussion. Let's not get into that discussion now.
All right. Okay. All right, so we have a guest in the studio, and he's Oloyede Abdulrazak. Olayode, yes, yeah. Abdulrazak. You're welcome to the studio. He's a thinker, a philosopher, and also a communications expert. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
All right, so why is it important for people to have finances?
Why is it important for people to have finances?
Yes.
Definitely, one of the most important things in the world today is to have finance, because definitely you need a purchasing power. There's something, there's exchange. You don't have this, I have this, and that is where the exchange comes from. So because I have what you don't have, and you wanted what I have, then definitely I put a purchasing power on it that you must pay in order to have it. So that is why people must have finances.
Okay, so why do they need to get those finances in check?
Yeah, in check. All right. You see, the problem we are having today is the problem of not understanding what are the differences between a need and a want. You just mentioned people don't know, or what do people need? There's need and there's want.
Okay.
You understand? So most people don't know the differences. And what is a need? A need is something that is necessary for survival. It's necessary for survival. While a want is just a desire. It's just a desire. So now, if you have finance and you're looking for what should I buy, the first thing that should come to your mind is your needs. So when you take care of your needs, then you start looking for your wants. You understand? So most time the problem is that we go for wants, then we now start finding ourselves in trouble. You just mentioned December. Then when it comes to January, people start, because most of what we do in December are wants. We squander money on wants. So we never look at the needs. What are those needs that we need?
So how do you relate that to the philosophy of I cannot come and kill myself? You understand?
Yeah.
I mean, okay, fine. The needs are there. And of course you spend your whole life, you spend a whole lot of time chasing them. From January to November, you're chasing them, and now it's December. So I feel that I should splurge on myself?
Yeah, you see, enjoying or flinging things on yourself has to do with the time,
Okay.
a particular time in your life. Now, you see, there's hierarchy of what you need to do. You know about this Abraham Maslow hierarchy of needs. Okay, look at this hierarchy of needs. Okay, let's look at that hierarchy of need. Now, for instance, the first hierarchy of need, he said, is the physiological need. Physiological need, and that has to do with food. Has to do with shelter, has to do with breathing,
Things you
hair.
need to survive.
You need to things that you need to survive with. Now, if you look at there are 5 hierarchies. I think I can remember those hierarchy. We have the physiological need. After the physiological need, now said the next one is security and safety need. Now, if you have looked for food, you have looked for shelter, you now need security, because that is what, if you have food and there's no security, how will you enjoy that food? So you now get the food, then you're now looking for security. Then the next one, he now said, is social needs. Social need has to do with relationship, love, marriage, family. Did you get this now? Then after that, you now go to what we call esteem need. That is where I cannot come and kill myself is. You get what I'm saying now? Yeah, esteem need. You want to feel esteemed. This is who I am. Then you now get to actualization. Now, if I said its hierarchy is time, for instance, you have not gotten that physiological need. You have not gotten security and safety need. Then the next thing you are going to is social need. Like a young boy. Now start looking for a woman to marry. You get what I'm saying now? If you go to marry a woman, the first thing is that you have not taken care of your physiological need. Then you start having problem. In that instance, you were looking for a woman. I remember a guy wanted to get married, and they're asking him, "Where do you stay?" "I still stay with my parents." Then the man was looking, "You still stay with your parents? You need shelter, you need security, where you put this woman inside. But you're coming to marry." So you can see that we are jumping the ladder. So I cannot come and kill myself there now. Is that you must have seen that you have taken the first physiological need, the second one, which is the safety need, then you go to social. Or else, some people will just go to that extreme. They needed position, they want to become chief, they want to become this, they want to become that. But there are still some things that are lacking. So before you can say, I cannot come and kill myself, until when you get to actualization need. That actualization has to do with, you have done all what you have been doing, you now get to that actualization. That actualization now says that, if you read that thing very well, Maslow was now saying that you now need to improve in all those needs previously. Improve yourself so that you can maintain those things. So when you're not maintaining, you say, it seems I'm tired, I just need to rest and enjoy myself. I cannot come and kill myself. Then you now go back to social need and enjoy yourself.
And chill with the big boys.
All right, so but how can one better prepare for emergencies? Because, you know, this is something that a lot of people don't even think about. They don't think about emergencies. They don't think about when something comes up and they really need the money. So how can one better prepare for that?
You know, in your introduction, you mentioned that, and you equally mentioned discipline. Something kept coming to my mind. You know, I have aged parents, and my mind will just say, come, if they just called me today, something happened. Where will I have this money to rush? Definitely you have to go to Lagos, you know. When you get to Lagos, you have to do some things, all those things. Where will I get the money? Then I sat my wife down. I said, come, we must have a check on this. There should be a saving that you need to freeze based on emergencies. In fact, when I did this freezing, I actually told my account officer that until I call you like 3 times. Now, if I now call, I say, I needed that money, like immediately say, no, I'm sorry, sir. Tell me that you are sorry. But if I persist like 3 times, then it means that I really need that money. Then you can release. So you see that the first thing you need to do, you know, the Englishman says that you cannot future in the future that you don't picture. So if you want to future in the future, you already know that there are some emergencies that will come. So you have pictured those, like the way I pictured mine now, that if tomorrow they say this happened. If tomorrow they say, oh, something is happening here, where will you have the money? So automatically there is a need for us to invest. And investing with discipline. Investing with discipline. Sometimes you may have a target and say, I wanted to buy this, if it is even a want. It may be a want that you wanted to target. Then something come up. You have to weigh it together and see, which one do I need more? You know, I was reading, was it last week? I was reading a man wanted to sell his factory. 2 people want to buy. One want to buy it and produce alcohol. The second want to buy it and do a bread factory. Then he now said he doesn't even know who is going to sell it for. Who should I sell it to? Is it because of the money or because of the advantage of what they want to do? Then he put it to his family and said, come, if they do bread factory, people will eat. You can see that it's going to psychological and physiological need now. Most people will eat. The alcohol you want to do is just a want. If you don't drink it, you will not die. You understand? So if I don't say, like when we say physiological need now, people need to eat. You need to eat to survive. Now, must it now be that you must eat all the paparazzi things that you need to eat before you can survive? No, you just need to eat and survive.
Okay, now we've talked about emergencies. What about retirement plans? You know, and in situations where people don't even earn that much, and even the amount they earn is not enough to take care of the present, how do they, save for emergencies and retirement, most especially?
Thank you. The first and most important retirement plan that we used to tell people is knowledge. Knowledge acquisition. Know. Go and know. Improve yourself. You get what I'm saying now? Improve yourself. Most people, they are sticked. There are different types of job now. There are some jobs that when you retire, you continue that job outside where you're working. You continue from that knowledge. There are some, when you retire, you start looking for what to do in a different field entirely. So now, if your job requires that after retirement, you can continue from what you are doing, the next thing is, how good are you in what you're doing? Have you improved yourself to the extent that when you finish, in fact, your organization, your company will have a feel that this person has gone, because most people will be going directly to that person as well. You understand? So you need to improve yourself in that area, so that immediately you are leaving or you are retiring, you already have a platform. Then the second one, if you know that, okay, if I finish this job, what do I do? Now, let me give you an instance. Somebody is working with the government and is saying, if I finish, I will do printing, I will go into printing. He want to go into printing. So his retirement benefit, he went to buy a very big machine. Yet he bought that big machine and he kept it. Then he's not looking for operators, he's looking for people that have the idea of printing so that they can come and assist. They came in. He hired all of them. They came in and they were working. The work was going on. But immediately something just got spoiled in that machine. They said they had to go to India to get it. And that was the end. This man, just a small thing, and that was the end. First of all, he doesn't have the idea of printing. You should have gone and say, let me learn this thing, let me know about it. I know people that will say they want to go into tailoring. They will go put somebody there, be sewing for me. The person will, you know how these people do it. The person will say, okay, it's 3 that I sew, and he has sold like 10. We don't have the idea. So most times it's when you want to venture into anything outside your profession, you should learn those things. You should know those things very well. So after retirement, the most important thing is that, what is that knowledge that you have? And do you have a platform already for people to start coming? So sometimes some people, when they retire, they just sit down. Even if, for instance, if you have learned about tailoring and printing and things like that, you don't need to work. You already know it. When they come, you know what he's trying to tell you. No, that's not how it's done. Bring it, let me do it for you. You have seen a boss that doesn't know how to drive. And in the middle of the road, then the driver just gets angry and says, okay, take your key. So what will the boss do? He doesn't know how to drive. He has to beg or call somebody to come and do that. So it means that when you want to retire, you must be equipped. And the most important thing first is the knowledge.
So in as much as we're talking about financial discipline and planning and whatnot, and of course managing the finances that you have, how important is cash flow to this big picture?
Thank you. You know, the question we ask is, what does it mean to be rich? What does it mean to be rich? If they say somebody is rich, what does it mean? So to be rich means that you have 10,000 today. And in the process of spending that 10,000, you have spent maybe 4,000. Then another 10,000 entered. In the process of spending that 14,000, you know, you have spent 4,000, 16,000 now. In the process of spending that, another 10,000 entered. You can see that is cash flow. It's coming in, it's going out. And that is why it is advised that most times we go for, they call it multiple source of income. Once this one is working, this one is also working. When this one is bringing its own, you are using it to round things together. So you see that you just want to understand that money must be flowing. And as the money comes, it goes. As it comes, it goes. So it's just a plan to say, what are those things that I have? Which areas do people need things? Then you start giving them what they need. Well, you should just ask the other time, why do people need finance? It's because I have something that you don't have, then you want to get it from me, I put purchasing power on it. So look at what is those things that people need. What are those things that people want? Can you override? And that's what they are doing in the market today. They are overriding the need of the people to give them wants. They just put it in their brain and they just forget that it's need that they need, not want. And they just start going for the want. So if you keep going for the want, that circle will not go. Like for instance, we have assets. Now, you want to purchase assets. When you purchase something, you keep it. You purchase. Let me tell you an instance. That's what we did before December in my house. What happened? We have a washing machine. We have this water dispenser. You know, the water dispenser has been there. We have not been using it. When you want to take water, there's water in the fridge. You already go to the fridge and take water. The water is there. Okay, we have a maid. She always wash the clothes. So most times we don't use the washing machine. And I say, come, what are these things doing here? What are they doing? You understand? So they are assets that are not even bringing anything. And they are just needs. They are just wants. They are not necessarily needs. You understand what I'm trying to say now? So what we just come on, let's sell all those things off. There are some things that are at the corner of your houses that they don't have anything they are doing. You don't even use them. Sometimes you just want to put it for adornment, you know. Sometimes you just want, then those are those things that will just, they will stop flow of income from you.
Okay. So let me just ask this question. Earlier when we were discussing, we discussed about how things fluctuate, especially the prices of things. You understand? How do you make allowances for that when you're actually planning or making a budget, either on a monthly or yearly or any kind of basis that you're doing? How do you make allowances for that? Because you might budget something at 5 naira now, you know, by the time you go to purchase it, it might be 7 or 8 naira or even 10 naira. How do you make allowances for that?
Yeah, thank you. In fact, when she was mentioning that, she just mentioned, you know, how Nigerian economy is. And me, I don't like hearing that word Nigeria. It's in the whole world. It's like that everywhere in the world. It's like that everywhere in the world. So, you see, the idea of putting your mind in a thing. For instance, now you want to buy something that you know, oh, this thing costs 5,000 naira. It means that it is when you are putting it, when you are trying to say this is the amount you want to invest for it, you don't invest 5,000 naira exactly. Do you understand? It's like, okay, we used to say this: if you borrow somebody money, you raise it in your mind. You have borrowed him, but in your mind, say you gave him. Don't expect it. Anytime the money comes, it will become a plus. But when you start expecting that you borrow this person money, when is this money coming now? When this money coming now? Anytime that money comes, there must be something on ground that money will go for. But when it comes, when you're not expecting it, then you can invest it somewhere and say, let me just put this money in so investment. Do you understand now? So what I'm trying to say is that you don't put the exact amount that you want to buy that particular thing. You increase it. So when you increase it, when the time comes and it's the same price, you see that you have excess. That's about emergency again. So that excess, you can use it to do another thing.
Okay, now, if you were my financial advisor,
Yeah.
and you were to advise me on whether to, save money or invest in long term, what would you advise me to do?
Whether to save money
Or invest.
Definitely, the question he asked the other time about flow, how's money flow? Investment makes money flows. Savings doesn't make money flow. This is those two things.
Yeah, but there's a risk factor attached to investments. You
Definitely.
could invest money and then it might not reap any dividends. But I know if I keep my money in my piggy bank, it's still there at least.
Yeah, there are two
Wait,
ways.
and then saving money in the bank or in the piggy bank?
Either way,
And
it's saving.
either way is saving.
Either way, it's saving. Whether it's under my mattress or inside the bank, it's still
But
saving.
just that the bank will also want to have some like
And
management
fluctuation of
fee,
currency
things
and
like that.
everything.
Yeah, exactly.
But investment. You talk about risk, finance, and that is the problem that is affecting most of us today. We don't like taking risk. That risk is worth taking. Yeah, if you fail today, you still put it. That is why, if you read this book that says how rich people think or something like that, yeah, the way rich people behave, they take risk. They take huge risks. The amount of risk you're able to take will tell the amount of riches that you're going to have.
Well, maybe the rich people actually take those risks because they can afford it.
You think they can afford it?
Because they're rich. They can actually
No,
afford
how
to
do
take
they
those
get
risks.
rich?
They actually
How
can
do they
afford
get
to take
rich?
So that's the thing.
No,
So-
that is from the investment, from the risk that they have taken from the beginning. That's what makes them rich. They are not rich from the
But
beginning.
not all fingers are equal.
Definitely. So that is where you can start from savings. You understand? If the finger is not equal, you start from savings. Then you have a particular amount of money. Then you say, this money, why can't I invest it in this particular thing? So that I can just rest and the money will be working for me.
Okay, so what advice do you have for people who have taken so much risks and lost?
They should keep taking risk. They should continue. The only thing that they need to do is that they don't do the same thing the same way and expect different results. You look at, okay, why did I miss this? What did I do wrong? You go back to the table. You understand? If you look at this SMART goal, you talk about SMART goal, when you're looking for your goal, SMART goal. Now today it has gone to SMARTer goal. SMARTer. They have put ER. And that ER, the E now says you have to evaluate. You have to evaluate, and the R now says you have to now, when you evaluate, you see the results. When you evaluate, you see the result. So evaluation is, now it fails. Why did it fail? What did I do wrong? Is it the person I'm investing with? Is it the product I'm investing with? You understand? So you need to do that research, you need to do that. So when you evaluate after that SMART goal, you evaluate, then you know this is the problem. So, but the advice I will give is keep risking, keep risking.
All right, so for now, we'll take a quick break. And when we come back, we'll, continue with the discussion. welcome back. You're still watching Daybreak Extra on Trust TV. And, before we went on the break, we're talking about, budget, finance, and, a lot of other things. And we still have Olayode Abdulrazak. He's a philosopher, and he's a communications expert as well. He's still in the studio with us. And, there was this question I wanted to ask before we went on the break. Now, considering the fact that there are lots of scams everywhere, not just in Nigeria, but, all around the world, and you talked about taking risks, how can one, see through or sieve to be able to know which of the investments are genuine?
All right. Definitely there are this scam or scammers are always everywhere, and they really wanted to play on our intelligence. They won't play on our intelligence. I will look for two solutions to this. The first solution, you see, there are four knowledge in this world, four most important knowledge in this world. Number one is our academic knowledge. You have gone to school, you have knowledge. Number two is our professional knowledge. Now you are professionals in what you're doing because you have gone to school. Now you have the professional knowledge. This is what you're doing. The third one is the spiritual knowledge. You know about how to communicate with the Almighty. And the fourth most important knowledge is the financial knowledge. And these, they don't teach you in school. You understand? They don't teach you in school. And you want to be rich. You want to become a doctor. You go to school and study medicine. Is that not so? You want to become a newscaster. You go to the school and study mass communications and communication studies. You come back becoming this. If you want to be rich, what do you do? If you want to be financially balanced, what do? You study finance. You understand financial intelligence. You get what I'm saying? So now the first thing is that most people that venture into places that they get scammed is that they don't even have that financial intelligence. They don't have it. Yeah, look, see, we are discussing the issue of the MMM and co. Some people that have financial intelligence really went into it and they are successful because they have that financial intelligence. So that is the first area I want to tackle, that issue of scammers. Have financial intelligence. Then you know how to do it. A friend, it's a wrong explanation, but should I say it? I don't want to encourage some people to do anything anyway. All right. But that's the first way. The second one, see, the most successful athletes, successful footballers, they have what we call a coach. They have a coach. This coach train them, tell them the skill to use. Is that not so? The successful businessmen, they have business coaches. They have it. Why is it that in life and want to succeed in life, why don't we have life coaches? There are life coaches. Life coaches are there to help you in order for you to progress in life. So now it means that if you don't want to fall into scammers, you need a coach in your life. You need a mentor in your life. You need a counselor in your life. People say, oh, we have family doctors. Do you have a coach? You have a family coach? Do you have a financial coach? Now you can see that. You have a financial coach. You must have a coach or a mentor that before you even venture into some things, sir, this is what I wanted to do. Then that person, you already know that this is your mentor, and anytime he says, go here, is the right path. Then that person will lead you towards success. That person will tell you that this is what you want to venture into it. I have done that before, and I failed. You can't fail. Do it this other way. This is what mentors and coaches are for. So most people don't have coaches in their life. They don't have mentors in their life. They just do things the way they want to do it.
All right, why not, just be our coach for like 1 minute right now, okay? Because a lot of people don't know how to budget. Yes. So what does a normal budget look like? And also, how can people inculcate the habits of, having a budget? And is it advisable to have the budget on a monthly base, weekly, yearly, or whatever time?
Yeah, there's no specific template for how to budget. There's no specific template because you just mentioned now, do you do it monthly, weekly? Because of the particular business that you do, your job implies the type of budget that you need to do. if you are a salary earner, you can't budget every day or every week. You know, this contribution that they do, this adashi, some people do adashi every day.
Yes.
Every day they do adashi. Some people say their own is every week, while civil servants do it every month, definitely. You understand? So the kind of job that you do determine the type of budget that you budget. One, lifestyle, your personality, your background also has to do with the type of budget that you budget. Now, for instance, we were talking about somebody want to use a company for alcohol, somebody want to use that same company for bread production. Those people are coming from different background and they have different ideology and they have different solution that they want to solve. You understand? So all those things has to do with who are you and what do you really want to achieve. So it is that picture. The Englishman says you don't hit a target that you don't see. So the first thing to do a budget is, what is that target that you need? What is that target? So when you look at the target that this is what I need, the next thing is, do I have the paraphernalia of office of having this thing?
So is that target that makes your budget realistic?
Yes, is that target that make your budget realistic. So when you see the target, you say, okay, what do I need? Do I still need more knowledge to get this target? Do I need more friends? Know some people in order to get this target? You understand? You must know all those things and say, okay, do I need this thing? All those things that you now need, they are just like ingredients. They're just like ingredients. Like I was talking about end goal and means goal. There are some goals that they are end goals. There are some goals that are means goals. So you have a target. This is what you want to achieve. It's like an end goal in itself. But there are means in getting those end goals. So now if you have a target which is the end, what are the means that you need? What are those things that you need in order to achieve that thing that you want to achieve? So all those things has to do with what you now have to budget for. Do you need to go to school to still acquire more knowledge? Do you need to go to do some professional this thing? Do you need to have a friend? Do you need to come and do intent in Trust TV before you can get to where you are going? You understand what I'm trying to say now? So some targets are like that. So it has to be realistic. And it has to be time bound. It has to be time bound. Look at it and say, okay, maybe in the next 6 months, this is what I want to achieve. In the next 1 year, this is what I want to achieve. It must be time bound. And you have to be specific. You have to be specific about it and look at it and say, okay, this is exactly what I want. Somebody I just want something. Which one do you want? What do you want? You must know what you want. There's this question we kept asking. Maybe I will ask you too. When do you determine your destination? Before the journey, during the journey, or after the journey? Where do you determine your destination? When? I'm asking now.
Oh, you want an answer?
Yes, I want an answer. When do you determine your destination?
Well, logically, it should come before the journey.
Before the journey.
Logically,
it should be before the journey. You get what I'm saying now? So most people don't. Now it means that you know your destination before you start even leaving your house. That is target. That is budget. Where are you going? What is that destination that you want to go? Then you now look for the vehicle that will take you. You're going to Lagos. There are vehicles that can take you to Lagos. It can be car, it can be bus, it can be bicycle, it can be motorcycle, it can be plane. Is that not so? Now that vehicle will now determine how far or how fast you get to that your goal. Oh, I want to go to Lagos in 45 minutes. Take a plane now. That is the vehicle that will take you. So if you're now going to get to Lagos in 45 minutes and your vehicle that is taking you there is motorcycle, will you get there? So you now start looking for that is the means to achieving that goal. So that all those things affect your budgets.
Okay. All right. with this, we will definitely wrap up this particular discussion on finances. Thank you so much for taking time out, to, have this conversation with us. We've actually learned a lot, and I hope the viewers out there have learned a lot from you as well. Thank you. Hopefully, next time we'll have you on the show again to discuss something.
It's my pleasure.
More.
Thank you.
All right, so that was Olayode Abdulrazak. He's a thinker, philosopher, and a communication scholar. We'll go on a break, and when we come back, it'll be time for the second discussion. Stay tuned.
Get latest updates on current topical issues and breaking news by downloading the Trust TV mobile app on your Android devices. Go online, click Google Play Store, search Trust TV, install the app, and get doses of unfiltered information on happenings all over the world in your pocket. Trust TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
Back, if you're just joining us, it's still Daybreak Extra on Trust TV. Now, moving on to our second discussion. In an increasingly interconnected world, it is important to take a fresh look at the specificities and the linkages between some key societal aspirations like peace, security, development, and human rights on one side and humanitarian crisis response on the other side. Now, the connection of humanitarian action, to broader objectives like peace, development, and human rights is understandably complex, but it is also an area in which some fresh thinking is important. The dilemma we're facing today is how to expand and uphold neutral, impartial, and independent humanitarian action while designing and understanding such action as a bridge to broader and more ambitious transformative agendas. Now, today we have a lady in our midst, and she's a very, very young lady, and like we said earlier, we will be discussing humanitarian services, peace, using and what they've been doing with the NGO, preaching peace and using children affected by insurgency as a reference point. Now, talking about this young lady, she is no other person but Splendor Joe, and she has taken up this challenge. She joins us in the studio. She's an author, she's a national peace ambassador, and also a human rights advocate. Good morning and welcome to Trust TV.
Good morning, and thank you for having me here.
Yes.
All right, so the main driving force behind what you do, the underlying thing is actually peace.
Yes, it is.
Why peace?
Well, that is a very good question. Many people have asked me, why peace? Why not something else? And then I tell myself, if you read the newspaper now, would you see something that tells you that there is peace in our country at this particular moment? Would you? You've heard stories about children being bullied in schools, children being leaving the exam hall because of some ideology that some people have. Now, there is no peace in our society at this particular point. I'll first of all love to start by saying that I started this whole ideology of peace ever since I was 9 years old. I've been campaigning and educating children on the dangers and effects of terrorism. It, of course, is a very big idea for a young child like me. And then throughout my journey from the campaigning, it got me thinking. My sister and I, who is an Honorable Treasure Joe King, we started the Mind Change Project. What's the Mind Change Project? The Mind Change Project is all about reforming and changing the minds of how we Nigerians think about ourselves, think about the nation, and think about other people as a whole. We always hear this thing is a Niger thing, and I'm like, does that mean that we are not organized? Does that mean that there is no peace in that we cannot be orderly at some point in our lives? Now, my sister and I have this notion that for a person to be properly reformed, then the reformation must start from the mind. How does it start from the mind? When you have the mindset of peace, that I know I have peace. Just take, for example, I say I want to become a lawyer. Ever since I was growing up, I say I want to become a lawyer. I keep telling myself I'm going to become a lawyer. When other people come and tell me, okay, why don't you become a journalist? Why don't you become a medical doctor? I'll tell them, no, I don't want those courses. I don't want those professions. Why? Because I have in me the fact that I want to become a lawyer, and I know that I'll become a lawyer. That is what the whole mindset of peace is all about. When a person understands that if I have peace, then I know that I am physically developed. Because if a person is at peace with themselves, we don't have any issue of anyone saying they have high blood pressure or things like that, because they are at peace with themselves. And you cannot give what you don't have. When a person is at peace with themselves, they can speak peace, and then they can give peace. Now back to the Mind Change Project. The whole Mind Change Project, I said, is reforming the minds of how we Nigerians think about ourselves, think about the nation, and think about other people as a whole. We firstly took this project to an IDP camp. Why the IDP camp? These children have suffered a lot. they have seen a lot, they have been through a lot. We used a drawing contest to understand how these children felt, what happened to them. And just like from the preview which you just saw, you saw the paintings of those children, and the paintings of those children, they talked about, they illustrated their experiences, and amidst that there was a ray of hope. Now the Mind Change Project is what brought about the Peace Campaign. The Peace Campaign has been going on for quite a while right now. It's both children and adults are subscribing to the Peace Campaign, because peace is not just a one-person thing. When there is peace, there's development in our country. When there is peace, investors would want to invest in our country. When there is peace, we, the children, will be able to live the stories of what our grandparents had told us before. Now, through the Peace Campaign is going to bring about the Peace Dinner. The Peace Dinner is majorly for our stakeholders. We want a situation whereby the children and our elders, our fathers, our stakeholders can just sit down on a round table and talk about peace. And we want to use the Peace Dinner as a means of mediation. We want to use that Peace Dinner to speak to the hearts and the conscience of those that are grieved, so they can let go, not because of anything, but the sake of we, the children, because they see us as the future generation. Then they can let go of any grudges for us.
All right. You talked about visiting some IDPs.
Yes,
how far have you gone in your mission? What other, states, communities have you visited?
Well, I have visited the Kuchingaro IDP camp, and I've also visited other IDP camps, especially when I was 9 years old till at this particular stage, which I'm 16. And I have visited these IDP camps. It came to a point that I even celebrated my 12th birthday with them. Now, I visit them to make them feel loved, to make them understand that you're not alone in this world, that I can support you and I want to be a support to you. We have a foundation which is called the Splendor Child Empowerment Foundation. The Splendor Child Empowerment Foundation is all about providing the basic rights of the children. What are the children's basic rights? The right to education, which is very vital, because education is the most powerful weapon we can use to change the world. That's a very important quote. And the rights to shelter, the right to good food. These are the basic rights that my foundation is based on. However, we are not getting as much support as expected, but I do believe that there are good Nigerians out there that would want to support this project that we are doing and would want to support our foundation. Thank you very much.
So, your shirt actually says Nigeria Children Call for Peace. Yes, so that means children are the driving force behind this. So what inspires your belief that children can actually succeed in calling for peace where the grown-ups or adults have failed?
Thank you very much for that wonderful question. Well, why do people think that we, the children, can do something better than what the grown-ups can do? Well, I do believe, it is debatable. I do believe that we, the children, are better off in peace. Why do I say this? We, the children, see ourselves as bridge builders in every family. And of course, Nigeria is our family. Take, for example, in a home where we have parents, a mother and a father, and the mother and father are having an argument. Now the child comes in and be like, Mom, Dad, can't you just let this go for my sake? And immediately, and possibly, the mother and father lets go because of them. Okay, let's use a simple example. If a child should walk up to you and be like, and tells you something, like you want this pen from you, the child wants this pen from you, and the child convinces you without any reasonable doubt to give you this pen, would you give it to the child? Would you give this pen to of course you would give the pen to the child, because we have the power to persuade people to do things that we want them to do. That is what we're naturally endowed to do, to persuade people. Now, another reason why I believe that we'll be better off in peace or be good in bringing peace is because what we're trying to bring on board is the culture of peace. Now, just like I said earlier when you asked me about the initiative, why I developed this initiative for peace. When someone has the culture of peace or imbibes in themselves the culture of peace, then they would not want to do something contrary to that. Because you understand, I know that I have peace. And if I'm at peace with myself, I will not want to cause violence to anyone. So what we're trying to bring on board is we're trying to simplify peace, something that our older counterparts are not trying to understand that this is what we're trying to do. Why do I say this? Before now, it has been our elders that have been advocating and soliciting for peace through peace summits, peace conferences, and even peace workshops. However, I do feel that the impact of this whole things, the summits, the conferences and workshops, are very minimal because you only end up in the policy making stage. It doesn't come down to us, to the grassroots, where it actually needs to come down to. Because if everyone has the mindset of peace, everyone inculcates in themselves the mindset of peace, then I can tell you we will live in a safe Nigeria. We will have that Nigeria that we have been wanting to see.
Okay, now, when was your foundation established?
2015.
Okay, so what would you say, is your foundation's greatest achievement so far?
Well, my foundation's greatest achievement is trying to teach the IDPs how to use COVID-19 protocols, because I did that during the whole COVID-19, when the COVID-19 was at its peak. So that was our greatest achievement, teaching them how to use the nose mask and also teach them how to protect themselves. And I think that's practically one of our greatest achievements, for them to understand that safety comes first.
All right, this is a rather personal question.
Okay.
When you walked in the studio, Darshan actually remarked that you're quite young.
Yes, I am.
And you just said right now that you're 16. And from the video that we actually saw, you've gone to a lot of places, interacted with a lot of people, even overseas.
Yes.
And you do go to school?
Yes, I do go.
Where do you find the time?
That is a very good question. I do find the time to balance my work life with my school life. It's not really, how do I balance it? I balance it, for example, if I'm supposed to have an exam today, then and I'm supposed to have a program today. Okay, sorry, let me make this simpler. How do I balance my work life and my school life together? Well, it's quite difficult. It is difficult because education is very vital and is very important for me. And I need to be educated to understand the project which I am doing. Now, there are some times that I can be called out from schools, from my school, and be like, okay, you have a program today. But I know that education is important. What my mind tells me is that, okay, probably I might have missed classes that day. I go back to school and tell my classmates, okay, please, can I borrow some of your notes? Can I copy them? And when I've copied it, I go back home and I read it, because I know that my school life is also important. It's just about wisdom. Well, no matter whatever you should, I just need to understand education is very vital in this project which I'm doing.
Is your school suffering?
From
is your school, like your education, is it suffering from everything?
It's not suffering from anything.
Okay, now can you describe some of the problems that you have encountered in the course of visiting these IDPs and preaching peace and all that, and how you were able to resolve them?
Well, there's no journey that doesn't have its own challenges. There's no journey that doesn't have its own problems. Of course, I have been to the IDP camps. When it comes to food, most especially, those children rush at you as though they had just seen the ghost. I want that food. Okay, these are some of the little challenges I might have, just trying to make them to organize themselves, trying to make them to understand what I'm doing, because most of them cannot speak English, and I cannot speak their language either. So what we do is we use an interpreter to pass the message to them. So that road is quite bumpy, but we have passed through it.
Okay, so where do you see yourself in future, like the foundation especially?
Well, I see my foundation on its own school. I see my foundation owning its own hospital. I see my foundation giving awards to children who have done something notable in their country. Because I do want to see progress in this country, and I want to see that the children also are enveloped into the progress. That's what I see my foundation doing.
All right, so generally now, usually when these issues of insecurity, when we're talking about this issue of insecurity and whatnot, we focus on the numbers.
Yes.
So numbers of people killed, so number of attacks happened, but we don't look at the aftermath. What happens to who are left behind, which are these children that we're actually talking about right now. So basically, what do you think we can do for these children as it is?
First of all, of course, we do not really consider the aftermath of what this insecurity has done to these children. What I think the first way we can help these children who are seeing themselves in this insecurity is by creating an environment of peace. Because if we do create an environment of peace, these children who have suffered insecurity, their past might disappear just because they're living in a safe environment. And all the years of troubles will be wiped off from their face because they're living in a peaceful environment. And when they're living in this peaceful environment, it does help to provide their basic rights, which is the first basic right of every human being, the right to life. I mean, if there is peace, would you want to carry gun and kill anybody? Of course not. You would not want to do that. Another way we can also help them is by providing them their other rights, like the right to education, the right to good healthcare, and the right to good food, the right to shelter. These are some of the things that we can help them. And if you cannot do it on your own, you can join our foundation, the Splendor Child Empowerment Foundation. And we are very good. This is where our work comes in. This is where our area, this is what we specialize in, helping these children.
All right, I think that should be it. Or if do you have
on a
questions?
final note,
Okay.
on a final note, I really don't like any interviews like this, but I think for this topic, it's actually it's appropriate. Generally now,
Okay.
what general advice will you give Nigerians regarding peace?
Well, my general advice is that you must have the mindset of peace. If you have the mindset of peace, you will be able to give peace. And when you can give peace, we will see development. I keep hammering on this. You will see development. And where there's the mindset of peace, you won't have any health issues. You will not have any reason to... You understand what I'm trying to say. There will be development in everything. Now, another advice I would love to give people is that they should learn to tolerate themselves. I mean, if you have twins now, these twins cannot think alike because they are not, even though they might be alike, their minds are different. They need to understand that two children do not have the same ideologies, and understand this fact. And if they understand this fact, then we will be able to resolve any problems that arise in our way. And I would also love it if they can go on any of their social media handles and just write, I stand for peace, using the hashtag Nigerian children call for peace. Paste it on any of their social media handles. If not, by also doing this, and also by making wristbands saying I stand for peace, by making a t-shirt saying I stand for peace. Just continue to profess peace and you will see peace. Thank you.
So we change the mindset and then we can be able to change the situation.
Yes.
All right. Well, that's the message from Splendor Joe King, who is actually a peace advocate, human rights advocate, and of course an author as well. So thank you very much for coming on the show.
Thank you very much.
And we look forward to having you sometime soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Well, it's still Daybreak Extra on Trust TV. Still, the show rolls on after this break. Stay with us.
Get latest updates on current topical issues and breaking news by downloading the Trust TV mobile app on your Android devices. Go online, click Google Play Store, search Trust TV, install the app, and get doses of unfiltered information on happenings all over the world in your pocket. Trust TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
Okay, welcome back. We're just, should I say, we're about to wrap up the show. So, as usual, we bring you trending stories, and things happening or things that have happened, especially in the entertainment scene and all that. Now, today we have a few stories for you, and it is still Daybreak, by the way, on Trust TV, Daybreak Extra. And there's this particular actress, a revered actress. People love her. I don't know if while growing up you were privy to hear or listen to a particular song. Every day I think of you. Well.
Nope.
Oh, wow. All right. Well, her name is Shafi Bello. You know, back then she was a musician,
Okay.
she was a singer, and right now she is an actress, and she has won so many awards. But, you know, like they say, in the course of attaining your goal, in the course of reaching your goal, you have to make sacrifices, right?
Yeah.
And she has actually come out to say that she has sacrificed her husband. I'm not talking about ritual sacrifice.
Exactly. That was where I was headed to. That was where I was headed to. You're talking about sacrifices.
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about, you know, sacrificing her marriage, you know, for her career. It's what she was talking about. And she talked about how, you know, years back, she decided she wanted more. She was living in the US, by the way. She decided she wanted more out of life and decided to come back to Nigeria, you know, to act.
Okay.
She left her husband and her kids, came, and she was pushing, you know, following her career and all that. And, you know, due to distance and everything, after 5 years, she ended up divorcing her husband. And she said he was very, very understanding, you know, because she wanted more out of life than just, you know, getting married and, you know, having kids and all that. And she doesn't regret it one bit because of where she is.
Yeah,
right
well,
now.
at the end of the day, that was the point that I was going to make. At the end of the day, was it worth it to her? You understand? Because we make sacrifices for the things that we love. We make sacrifices for the things that we want. Just as you're talking about, you having goals, knowing how to get there, and making plans to actually get there. So if we make those sacrifices along the line and we do achieve those goals that we have achieved, at the end of the day, what makes it important, what's important to us is, was it really worth it? Because at the end of the day, you find people sacrificing all these things, and then after you get to that place that you want to get, you find out that it wasn't really what you thought it was. It wasn't really what you thought it would be. And then at the end of the day, you find a person living with lifetime of regret and what. But if it's worth it to her, then...
Okay, now on one side, you can actually see a husband who wanted her to, you know, achieve what she wanted for herself. But, you know, on the flip side, you have a lot of cases or scenarios where husbands tell their wives, no, leave your job and follow me to whatever village it is, even if it means us suffering together. If you're earning like a 1 million naira job per month, you get what I'm saying? He doesn't mind, he doesn't care. He tells you, leave your job and follow me.
Yeah, well, it all depends on individual circumstances. You understand? Everyone has, it's different for everybody, you know? Just like she pointed out, her husband was actually very understanding about the whole situation. There are lots of people that will not be.
Definitely.
You know, you're not leaving me with the kids and going out to pursue whatever it is you want to pursue. Lots of people will say, hell no, you know? But the circumstances of the individuals involved actually matter, whether it's going to work or not. And at the end of the day, just like I pointed out earlier, it depends on the individual. Are you satisfied with what you have achieved? Is it all worth it at the end of the day?
Now, funny enough, she said they actually got divorced 5 years ago when she was 45. That means he actually stayed with her, you know, all the while until 5 years ago, where he couldn't take it anymore due to distance. Now, you know, you can't compare the distance from Nigeria to the US or Nigeria to the UK, you know, with the distance, you know, within the country.
Exactly.
Do you think if they lived in the country together, that it would have been easier?
Yeah, if they can be able to maintain the relationship for this long while they're in different countries and different continents, I'm definitely sure they would have been able to make it work while they're in the same country. You know, wherever it is you are in Nigeria, it's just like just a plane ride away, which is the highest you can do is maybe an hour. You understand? And you're where you are, and you can be with whoever it is you want to be with, even if it is just for a limited period of time. But you can't just hop on the plane and go to the US and come back tomorrow. You understand? It doesn't really make much sense. But if they were able to maintain that relationship for that long, with that amount of distance between them, then I think they could have been able to make it work if they were closer, you know?
Okay, now let's move on to something else. I know a lot of people who once they start making money, they don't even bother about furthering their education at all. But in Rema's case, Rema is a musician under Maven's Records, you know, that's Don Jazzy's son, they call him that.
Okay.
Yes, and you know, he started quite young. Do you get? He started quite young, and right about now, his mom has actually stood her ground and told him, you need to go back to school. So, you know, with all the money that he has made, all the fame, you'd actually think, no, he'll just continue that way, because Wizkid did it. Merely he acquired fame, he didn't even bother going back to school.
Exactly.
You know, Davido and the rest, other young artists, other young musicians. But right now, Rema has actually gotten admission into the University of Lagos, and he will be going back to school.
Well, that's a good one, actually, for him. But the thing is, we all have this mentality. You have this mentality of actually going to school because I want to make money. You know, I want to be rich, and that's why I'm going to school, so that I can finish school and get a job. But I've already made the money, so why go back to school at the end of the day, you know? So, but for him, it's actually a good one, at least. Having
something to fall back to.
Exactly, and you have something to show that at least you've gone to school, you have it. Even if you're not going to use the certificate, at least you actually have that. We did talk about having skills earlier, you know, having skills and going to school, and then exactly, and
so you don't think going back to school is a waste of time? So now, let's say, for example, you're 16 years old, right?
Yes.
And you've made millions of dollars, not even naira.
Yes.
Would you want to go back to school?
Personally?
Yes.
No.
All right, just before we
I'm not saying it's ideal, but personally, I will not.
All right. So just before we wrap up, we had a financial expert earlier talk about finances and all that. Now, Kid Wire, right?
Yeah.
That's the former Big Brother Nigeria, you know, roommates or housemates, contestant and everything. You know, he actually said something about finances, and he said it's an advice, and he said worry less about spending. Worry about spending less instead of making more money. Does that make sense?
Worry about spending.
Yes.
Worry less about spending?
No, like worry about spending less.
Okay.
Like it's better for you to spend less than for you
to make more money.
To make more money. Just in case, you talked about cash flow earlier.
Yes.
Just in case, you know, there's no constant cash flow. So you should worry about spending more, you know, instead spend less, so you can have more saved up.
Well,
Does that make sense?
Well, it all depends. If you want to chill with the big boys, that's not going to work. That's really not going to work. So it actually depends on the kind of mindset you have and the kind of lifestyle that you want to lead. You understand? If you are the kind of person that says, I can't come and kill myself, then that's not going to work for you, you know, because you're going to have to chill with the big boys.
But does that theory work? That's what I'm trying to ask. Does it even work at all?
Yeah, well, it all depends.
Okay, for example, I have like, let's just say 50,000 naira right now. And then I have things that I need to do with the money.
Exactly.
So I know that there's no money coming in the next 3 months. Yeah. And you're telling me not to spend that money?
Yes. You buy a little something that you have. You go. You put the rest under your mattress. You understand? and then you wait. Just like I said, it all depends on the individual. It depends on how the lifestyle you want to lead. Somebody can go and blow that 50,000 naira on anything but those things that he actually needs.
But it actually makes more sense if there's constant cash flow.
If there is cash flow.
You spending less and cash flow keeps coming in, you keep, you know, saving more.
Exactly. That is if you have the cash flow. But if you don't have the cash flow, then that's where it all comes in. Do you be thrifty? Do you save? Do you blow it all at once and say something's going to happen? You know, it all depends on an individual, really.
Okay, now with that, we will be wrapping up Daybreak Extra today. Thank you so much for taking time out to, you know, watch us from 8 a.m. up until this time. We'll be back again next week, yes, same time, same station. I am Darshan Hussaina Usman. Have yourselves a wonderful weekend.
And I'm Ibrahim Yusuf. Let's do this all again next week.